Bon Jovi.
Hey, John, how are you, man?
Morning. How you doing?
Hey, good to talk to you. Hey, the first thing that I want to mention is I was watching the news last week, and I see them interviewing you because you're doing something really cool. It was the John Bon Jovi Soul Foundation, and I watched this whole thing about how much you're giving back up there, and I was moved by it. And then when they said you were coming on today, I was like, man, the first thing I want to ask them is, exactly about this, because I think I had a tear or two. This was so good. Will you tell my listeners about this?
Well, thank you. We have 3 community restaurants that work off of a volunteer model. Hence, that's where I came up with the idea for the song. But also, we opened a food bank because on Eastern Long Island, the need is dire. And the nearest food bank was an hour and a half away. So we were able to provide food to 7 food pantries for the last 5 months. And this is what my wife and I do.
In this video, though, it showed you in the kitchen, even washing dishes. Now, John, do you really wash? If I go in there, you could be in there washing dishes?
Absolutely. The truth is that when we opened the restaurant some 10 years ago, I was the designated dishwasher. But because our model, which had never existed before that, was about volunteerism, those who were volunteering for a meal ultimately elbowed me out. But in the pandemic, we couldn't let any more volunteers in. So I took my number down out of retirement from the rafters and was washing dishes again. And when Dorothea took my picture and she wanted to put a caption under it, what she was looking for was for me to say, what hours are we open, what days are we open, because we're going to serve the in-need during the height of the pandemic. And I, stream of consciousness said, if you can't do what you do what you can. And the next day I went, wait a minute, that's a song title. And so I wrote the song.
And that leads us to this. So the new song is out today called Do What You Can. And what's new about it here is Jennifer Nettles is on the song from Sugarland. So what inspired you to reach out to Jennifer and say, hey, let's do this again?
Well, when I wrote the song, and unlike anything else I've ever written, which, by the way, I know you can't see this on the radio, but that's one of my injuries from working at the food bank.
He's got a fingernail with a big mashed finger, yeah.
Ow. But what happened with this song, unlike anything else I have ever written, this is a lyric that everybody on the planet knows because they're living it together. And so when I wrote the song, I even put it out there on the internet, just a chorus in the first verse, as if to give everybody the premise, but to say, tell me your verse. Even though I had written the song and had it tucked away ready to go, I said, tell me another verse. This could be a Guinness Book of World Records for the song with the most amount of verses, because anyone everywhere could write a verse. And then because Jennifer, 15 years ago, sang Who Says You Can't Go Home With Us, and Bon Jovi had its first #1 country single, I thought, how better to reintroduce such a broad song to the country market than to my old friend Jennifer. And so she said absolutely she wanted to sing on it as a duet, and we jumped on at the chance.
So back in the day when you put out Who Says You Can't Go Home, 2006 or so, 2005, 2006, how did you approach Jennifer, and why did you approach Jennifer the first time?
Well, she was unknown at the time. If you think about it, it was prior to their first record, or right at the onset of their very first record, and we were label mates, and we knew that Who Says You Can't Go Home again would have that kind of crossover appeal. And new country at that time is very influenced by bands like Bon Jovi. The chord progressions, the big choruses were coming into play, and so it wasn't a foreign fit. And with a great voice like hers, the label said, let's take a shot. And I was all for it because I was a big fan of so many of the bands of the time. And we jumped at the chance. And then next thing you know, I've got a #1 single.
Going back to the 80s, and I think about, seeing Bon Jovi play, on TV, these massive arenas. And I was just a kid. and all the cool clothes that you would wear back then. Do you have any of that stuff like in a museum, like the old Bon Jovi jackets and jeans and sunglasses?
Oh yeah, there's a fair amount of it. There's a fair amount of it, yeah. And a number of things are in the Hall of Fame, but there are some big rooms that are full of stuff that I guess my kids will have someday, whether it's clothes or awards or platinum records. Yeah.
What's the final song you guys play and show? What's the big number to close it out?
Oh, I don't know. I try to change it up as often as I can. I mean, at that point, it could be anything. I don't really ever have a set list.
Will you ever not go do an encore because you're like, the crowd kind of sucked tonight?
That would be a telltale sign that it's time to hang up the sneakers. I mean, the day that we're on the "Where Are They Now" pile, I'm out. Don't you worry. But as long as we keep making big #1 albums, I'm not going anywhere. So the audiences don't tend to stink.
John Bon Jovi performing at our iHeartRadio Music Festival this weekend. It is our 10th anniversary. Tonight and tomorrow night, you can watch it on the CW app. You can listen to it here on the radio. What are you guys doing for the iHeart Fest? Do you know yet? I mean, can you say yet?
Yeah, Jennifer and I do the duet, and we played our first single, which was a big hit at AC Radio, called "Limitless," and there's at least one, if not two, catalog songs that are also going to be on the show.
You get one song of yours to represent you to somebody who's never heard Bon Jovi. Which song do you pick?
I think you could do that one for me, Bob. I think you could pick it.
All right, then I'm going to pick.
I have a feeling that it's, "Living on a Prayer" is probably right up there.
I'm going to pick "Always."
Oh, I love it.
It seems so hard to sing. That you're so high in that song. How difficult is that if you have a cold?
Let me tell you something. On my best day, it's hard. Why I wrote these stinking lousy songs and the key change in "Living on a Prayer," it sounds like always. Why couldn't I take that down to D instead of E? What was the matter with me?
Well, listen.
Not easy, my friend. Not easy.
We're big fans of all the work that you do. Especially, man, I tell you, I didn't even know you were coming on when I saw that story about the Soul Foundation. And it's tough to move me. I'm jaded a bit. I do news all the time and do stories, and we try to give back a lot. But still, I saw that, and I thought that was really, really cool. But just for that, I'm going to put a plug in for that, too. The jbjsf.org, which is John Bon Jovi Soul Foundation, jbjsf.org, if you want to check it out for more information there. But he'll be playing on our iHeart Festival, and then also we're going to play the song right now. Here we go. So let's do What You Can.
Thanks.
John Bon Jovi, Jennifer Nettles. Hey, John, good to talk to you. Thanks for the time, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Great, Bobby. Thank you, buddy.
All right, see you later.